Hello, hello, hello. How are you? My name is Marilyn Shannon, and once again, this is the Breaking Free Show. And it's really wonderful to be here. I've been off for a couple of weeks having some surgery, but it's wonderful to be back as always. And before I get on with the show, I always want to say hi to Amnon.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. You look marvelous.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope so. I
And you can
try.
see
And I can see much
marvelous.
better, and and I'll tell you all about it. But yes, I'm seeing much better.
Yep, good.
So thank you very much. And I want to introduce my mother, who makes a once a year guest appearance on our show, and she's here today to share the airwaves with me. Gloria Lipman.
Hi.
How you doing,
Hi,
Gloria?
Amnon. I'm here because of Amnon, too.
Of
It
course.
gives me an excuse to see you
Of
and
course.
be with you,
This is, I think, your fourth.
and
Maybe
I
her
enjoy it.
Maybe this is her fourth time, you think? She came the first show.
Who's counting? Stop counting.
Okay.
I hope I'm getting better all the time.
You're getting more and more used to it, right?
Never.
Never? Oh, wow. Anyway, this is
I'm
Gloria,
still
my mother,
trying.
and she is a twin, and she and my aunt are similar in many, many ways, and then not similar in other ways. So it's really fun to have you here, Mom. And she's all the
Thank
way
you.
from Florida, and it's lovely to have you, and it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, sweetheart. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you, Ma. So we have a big history. Obviously, I'm the only daughter amongst brothers, so it's been a lot of times I've spent with my mother doing all kinds of things. So it's really wonderful. But my mother has a lot of friends too, and I just thought it would be great for her to share a little bit about um, the fact that she has so many friends and how she does it. So, what does friendship mean to you?
Well, to have friends, you have to be a friend. And
Yeah.
and that's the bottom line, I would say. And I've been fortunate all the way through my life to have friends and growing up and having them forever. As long as God lets us be together, we're together. I've never lost anybody except somebody who's ill and deceased or whatever. And that's priceless because there's nothing, everybody needs somebody. And a good friend is hard to find. So I've been very fortunate always to have a few, not a lot, but quality instead of quantity.
She has a lot of friends. My father used to say that she was the mayor because she had so many friends. So she really does have a lot of friends. Mom, so what is your ticket to youth, do you think? I mean, a lot of people talk about, this cream, this thing, that thing, eating healthy, doing all these things. And my mother just celebrated her 91st birthday. So she is 91. My aunt is 91. So what's your secret to, I mean, I know, no, she does not look 91. What is your secret to your youth?
I attribute it to my mother, who had a youthful attitude always. And she started me off in that direction. Just the same as I've tried to introduce my children and my grandchildren to the same activities and lifestyle and interests that I always had in growing up. And it was exercising, it was caring about how I looked, my hair being right, my makeup being right, uh, entertaining, enjoying being with people, and out there in the world. And I love it. And I'm not giving up.
I don't, no, you're not giving up. I don't think your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, or your children, anybody would say anything about that. That's. And I want to thank everybody who's on the chat too. And please feel free to join us in the chat. you can put your name in where it says nickname and ask questions in there. You're more than welcome to call in anytime, 919-518-9773. And if you'd like to come in on Skype, you're welcome to do that. Computers 2K Voice is where we will take you. If you have a question for Gloria or for myself, please feel free to comment and enjoy this time with us. It'd be wonderful. So you are a good friend. You're a fabulous mother. You've always been available wherever you have been needed, wanted, desired, all of those things. What keeps you going?
Those things keep me going. Those are the things that keep me going. Being wanted, being interested, being stimulated, keeping involved, and just keep going. Don't give up. Where there's life, there's hope. And it gives you energy to go on. And that's what's kept me going. The more the merrier. The more children my children have, the happier I am. And I keep myself traveling, visiting, and doing the things that I've always done. And you have to have an interest. You have to want to do it, to enjoy it. And I love every minute of it.
And the other thing about my mother, I would say, is she doesn't give up. She's like a bull in a china cabinet. If she wants to do something, she's going to figure out exactly how to get it done, or to find out who she can talk to, whether it's finding the phone number on the box of a cake mix, or it's calling somebody, whatever. She's going to keep on trucking until she gets the answer. And sometimes for the rest of us, it's a little wearing. But for her, she doesn't stop. I mean, she is like relentless. I mean, even in learning the iPhone or the iPad, I mean, she does that too. And it's you know, she'll call me any day and she'll say, look, I can't do this, I can't do that, tell me how to do this. And I'll have to do it over the phone, you know, because she doesn't live with me all the time. But she's relentless. She does not give up. And I think that's another way that she keeps herself moving and going forward, you know, step by step, is just because she's always going forward. She's never going backwards. Right?
Right.
You have a question? I'm none.
There is one.
Oh, there is one. Oh, thank you. Okay. Questions. So, let's see. Does Gloria do any type of volunteer work? Do you?
Well, do I do volunteer work? I volunteer to help my children, my grandchildren. I'm always there for them. Always.
That's not volunteering.
No,
No,
that's a must.
that's a job.
That's
That's
a
a
job. Well, I will say she probably doesn't even realize it, but you know, she's the first one that will drive somebody to a doctor's appointment, a friend, or you know, somebody needs to go somewhere and she drives and they don't drive. She's the first one to take them. So I would say yes, in her way, she does lots of volunteering. To the fact that I'll say to her, "What are you going there for? Why are you doing that? You don't need to be doing that. They have children, or they have this, or they have that." But then you can't tell her too much. She's going to do what she wants to do anyway. So she's going to yes me on the phone, and then she's going to give me some excuse why she did it anyway. So that's my mother.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that's my daughter, because that sounds like you're talking about a kid.
No, I'm talking about my mother.
Oh, a kid.
She's exactly kid-like for sure. But that's a good question, Chris. So anybody else want to call in 919-518-9773? Please feel free, or Computers 2K Voice, and just hang out with us. That's all we're doing today. There's no strings, no heavy duty anything. We're just kind of like chilling out and just talking. So please feel free to call in about anything you want to. So we've been watching the Olympics a lot, right? And you have been loving it.
Love it.
What do you love about it?
I love to see them win.
It's okay.
That's magnificent.
Yeah.
Just love the activities. It's admirable. It's so exciting to see them. Oh my God, it's really.
What have you liked? What activity have you liked the best of everything that you've watched? And you've watched all kinds.
The acrobatics,
Yeah. The gymnasts.
gymnasts,
Yeah.
and Michael
Phelps.
Phelps. God, you can't not enjoy that. He was so wonderful, and I felt myself pushing him and praying that he'd get there. And oh my God, I just can't wait. Oh, he did it, and that was very exciting to see when they're getting there. And oh my, it's amazing. It's so amazing with the medals. And last night I was watching the races,
Yeah, the running.
the running,
Yeah.
and that was also very exciting because it's all very exciting.
Yeah.
There's such competition that, and after a while, they just can't keep up. So you see them and their bodies. Oh my God, the muscles that they
You
put.
know, some of them I can't look like
They-
they hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, the gentleman back. What was his name? That won the running last night. Buck.
from
Oh my God, his muscles. I mean, I looked at them and I'm like, does it feel like they're bulging out of his skin? Does it hurt? They were like lumps all over him.
Michael Phelps the
Oh
same
my
way.
God, they're
I mean,
amazing. And the women.
it doesn't even look normal.
And the women. I mean, the women are so. I mean, I think a swimmer's body is beautiful in a lot of ways, but a lot of them are so broad and so big. I don't know. It's amazing, right? And their legs. Oh my God, I'd love to
Is
have.
that where the word came from?
Is that where the what came from?
Broad?
No. Okay, here's a good quote that Chris is asking. So she just found this one. She wants to know that she thinks captures Gloria's energy.
No.
It is, Ma, listen, you don't make things happen. You create the conditions to allow them to happen. What do you think about that?
I agree with Chris 100%. Nobody's going to make it happen for you. You're in control of your own destiny. And that's where it is. And there's nothing that can stand in your way but yourself. If the drive is there, the interest is there, the love is there, you just keep going. There's no reason to stop. And the more you accomplish, the more you enjoy doing it. So it's an ongoing drive, interest and love.
So you know what? Growing up, I don't think either of my brothers or myself had a curfew. And I don't know if it was I don't think it was the time. I just think it was the parents. I don't think, because my friends had curfews, but we never had a curfew. I never gave my daughters curfews. And it was funny because the other day, my stepson was getting ready to leave for college, and we were laughing because he went to live with his mother for the summer. And he said one of the things he likes about being there is that she didn't give him a curfew. And I started to laugh because he didn't have a curfew at our house either last year, but he didn't know it because he would ask me all the time, what time should I come home? So I would just tell him, oh, come home at 11:30. If he said to me, well, can I stay out till 12? I said, sure. But I never gave him a curfew. He made the assumption that he had a curfew, and and it was funny, but it worked out well because he learned, more responsibility and so forth. And I guess he was still, he was respectful, and he,
Take advantage.
and he didn't take advantage of it. But we did not have curfews. And so you didn't ever give us a curfew, did you? Did you ever think about giving us a curfew?
No. You never stayed out to an unreasonable hour.
Mm-hmm.
I had confidence in when you were coming home, and of course the world was so different that was the big issue.
It was much.
Now
much
we
safer.
worry about you being
Yeah,
out.
much
Then we
safer.
just, it was easier for you and easier for us.
So what do you think about women today?
I think they're fabulous. I'm glad I'm here to appreciate where the women are going, where they've gone, and keep going, and it's marvelous.
What do you think is marvelous?
The success, the drive, the interest, the places that these women are going. In fact, when I came to North Carolina, I wasn't exposed to all these women in business as readily where I was. I guess it was my background. The women were home taking care of the children, and that's what I thought was the right way. However, I would never say that I love to see my children take vacations, but I also think that every woman should have a profession so that when the children grow up, they have something to turn to and something to continue of interest. And when I came to North Carolina, Marilyn had founded the Women Helping Women organization that has grown to maybe, I don't know, 30, 35 chapters today. And I was exposed to all these women who were so successful in what they were doing, and so many of them. I used to look so forward to being with them and admiring all that they're accomplishing and the success that they've reached. It's amazing. They had children, but everything in its time. And
How are they different? How are the women different today than your? Not just the fact that they work or they don't work, but what's their? What are they like?
Their role?
They're different than the women.
Well, women are different today too because the men are different.
Okay, tell our audience.
The men are more involved with bringing children up, with household chores. That too makes it easier for the women to do what they're doing because it takes two to tango. And the women could not accomplish these goals as readily if the men didn't share the responsibility in the home and outside of the home, with the family, without the family, with the wife, without the wife. And I hope the men keep going too, but the women sure are.
Let me ask you this: when you were growing up, or when you got married and did you ever in your life had aspiration to do what you're seeing the women doing today, and you couldn't because there was some kind of a wall that stopped you, be it family, be it the workplace, whatever? I mean, did you feel like I want to do this, but I can't because I'm a woman?
No, I always felt that I could do anything I wanted to do,
And you,
then as well as now. But I didn't take full advantage of it.
okay.
And that was my doings. Nobody limited me to anything. I was as free as the women are today to do what they want to do. May have been a little more difficult for me, but I didn't pursue it. Now I have a degree in home economics. I graduated college. I went to Cornell, and I have a wonderful background. And I love everything that I did in school and college. Today, I still practice it. However, I didn't pursue my teaching degree. And had I continued in today's world, I would have been out there teaching.
Coulda,
So
woulda,
I
shoulda,
had
but
my degree, and
but you didn't pursue it, not
No.
because they say, you can't
No.
do it.
no, I thought
You
this is
just
the
had
way.
more important priorities.
I had priorities. I was home with my children.
Nice, good to know.
And I think there's got to be a happy medium.
Sure.
That's the bottom line. I mean, it can't be all what you want to do. It's when you have children, there's a certain amount that you have to do. And it's a commitment. And, you could pursue your your profession when the children are grown and in school and your time is a little bit more yours. And a lot of people do, and I think that's admirable. Because you've got to have balance, and nothing too extreme, either way.
Right.
If I had to do it all over again, I would have been teaching.
You would have?
I would have, definitely. I'm not sorry because I feel like I accomplished a lot without pursuing my profession, but I would have. I thought this is the way it should be at the time, and I'm not sorry for it.
No. Should
Not at
right.
all. I feel that I was successful in what I did at the time.
But it is, my grandmother was quite a free spirit in some regards also. And so she taught Sunday school. I mean, she did certain things that she was quite free. But not everybody around in the environment was. So you see all friends doing, well, you had a lot of friends that did work. You had friends that were working, right? You have friends that were working, weren't a professor or whatever. Didn't you have friends that were working?
No, not
Most of them got married. So that's the difference too. I think what you're exposed to. And I'm sure many of them would look back and say, I love what I did. I love my children. I like being married. I like being a homemaker, but, I would have liked to have done something. And
yeah, I would have.
so do you live through me? Do you live in some regard through your grandchildren? Do you feel that way or not?
No, I admire everything they do now.
But you're not living vicariously through any of us.
No, not at all.
Well, that's good because that would be a heavy load to carry. I would not like that load. Not at all. Once again, please feel free. Call us 919-518-9773 or Computers 2K Voice. Love to have you join in and share with us. So my mother is a Facebook fanatic. She loves Facebook. And I would love for you to share with all of our audience what it is about Facebook that you love.
Well, one of the most wonderful part about being on Facebook and being exposed to it is that being in touch with family that I never in my life would believe I would know anything about in this day. It's been many years since I've seen them, and everybody's been going in different directions. And I love the fact that I know where people are. I keep in touch with them. We send little notes. We know when it's their birthdays. We know how many children it's wonderful. It encompasses the whole family relationship, which could easily have drifted away because of the transient world that we're living in. And everybody living in so many different directions. But I feel so much closer to a lot of family. And I think that is priceless. To see their children, whom I probably would never have seen, but I see them on Facebook. Oh my God, even my grandchildren. I Skype with them. It's the cutest thing. It's the greatest. I'm glad I lived long enough to be part of the Facebook world. And the games on
Solitaire.
oh my God.
She's good at solitaire. I mean, all day long she can play solitaire, right?
And I win.
And she wins all day long.
And I don't cheat.
All these sirens and things going off. You can't cheat. It's hard to cheat.
I'm going to Candy Crush now.
Next, she's going to learn how to play Candy Crush.
It's relaxing. I find it very relaxing. Instead of talking on the phone sometimes or watching television, which doesn't really excite me, I play these games and I find it very tranquilizing.
There was a report that we talked about yesterday that the fact that kids that play games, of course, not if you're doing it 24/7, But playing games is not going to interfere with schoolwork. It actually makes you smarter.
Well, because you're playing with numbers and
I don't know. I mean, it just
whatever.
in general, because
I am absolutely agree. I see my grandchildren,
Great grandchildren.
my great grandchildren. I mean, it amazes me that they sit with their finger, a year-old a child. It's got the finger going. He knows that he's got to play with it somewhere.
yeah,
I think it's priceless. I really do. And anything carried to the extreme
it's bad. Yeah,
is bad. But within limitations, I think it's the greatest thing going.
Now, a lot of your friends are not on.
None of them are. They're not on. They're not. They don't. Not on the internet. They're not on the iPad. None of them.
say what? Book face?
They're not really. I mean, they
No.
have no desire.
No.
They don't care what they're
Answer
missing.
the phone. Dial the phone. Period. They're not. They're just not interested. And I think they're missing out. I really,
Do
really.
you tell them?
Huh?
Do you tell them?
Oh yeah, but they have to have that interest themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody told me to get it. I just knew I wanted.
no, she's-
I have the
yeah.
iPad
Right.
and I have the iPhone, and I find different needs for both of them, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, and you read articles, so you're learning.
Oh, it's stimulating. It's interesting. Some articles I poo-poo and I just don't even bother. But
on
things-
our show, she could say anything she wants. so you poo-poo some, but then some you read,
yeah, I
and the
do.
recipes and all those things.
Oh yeah,
And the quotes. You love quotes.
I love quotes.
What do you love about quotes?
They make so much sense. They're so real. These are things that you yourself wouldn't quote, but seeing it in print or writing it, I've always
Excuse
copied
me.
quotes. Always had a collection, and now they're just marvelous on Facebook.
So here's a quote that we're going to talk about this. Okay. I once and this is a book from quotes, Everyday Wisdom, by Dr. Wayne Dyer, who has recently passed away, who was quite brilliant. And this is an entire book of his quotes. And this one says, I once gave the refrigerator repairman several of my books and tapes. The repairman asked, how do you ever expect to make any money when you give away all of your stuff? I replied, when the day comes that you don't have to ask me that question, you'll have the answer. What does that mean?
I lost
So,
you.
okay, I once gave the refrigerator repairman several of my books and tapes. The repairman asked, how do you ever expect to make any money when you give away all your stuff? I replied, when the day comes that you don't have to ask me the question, you'll have the answer.
I'm not so clear about.
Okay,
Me
well,
neither.
okay. So, when you give away things or give away stuff, you get so much more in return
Right.
than money. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. When you give away things, the
Oh.
pleasure of giving things
Oh,
away
that's-
is you know the gratitude that you get
But
from other
it
people.
doesn't. It
Right, but-
doesn't. It doesn't sound that way when you're.
I know. I mean, was there a mention of money?
No, but
No.
anything. How the repairman asks, how do you ever expect to make any money
Oh, okay. I see.
when you give away all of your stuff? Right?
Yeah.
It's not just about the money.
Yep.
It's about everything that you get in return beyond the money. And sometimes a lot of times we get stuck in the money, just like we get stuck in the doing of things as opposed to the experiencing or feeling of things. Right? So we don't want to get stuck in any of
Okay.
those things. Okay?
It wasn't as clear
Okay. But
as.
did you get it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So You are a you like to give things away all the time. You right? You're
Yeah.
always giving things away. She's always making cakes or cookies, and she has all these friends who love her because she's always baking for the single men in her building. She's always giving away things that she bakes, and they appreciate it. So a little bit of yourself goes a long, 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 long way. And the more we connect with each other in this way, the then the more friendlier the world will be. Period. So, right?
Right?
Do you think we live in a friendly world?
Friendly, but not friendly enough.
What do you mean?
Oh, it's a big explanation.
Mhm.
um, what do I mean? Well, people should be out there caring more about each other, sharing and
So
caring.
it's so I think what you're saying is the world is all about love and caring. It's what we're doing, or what some people are doing within the world, that isn't so loving and caring. But the world is caring and loving. The universe is caring and loving. The planet is all about caring and loving. It's just what some people tend to do that is not so caring and loving. Is that
Well,
what you mean?
people are different. Not everybody thinks the same way or behaves the same way. And
And what?
I think you have to spread the word
Spread the word of love
of love and caring and sharing
by doing what?
by doing it,
By actions.
by action.
By being kind to each other, by being appreciative, by thanking people, by just doing that. The simple
Spreading
task.
love.
Spreading love.
I think that's the bottom line.
You know, it's interesting you would say that. And obviously, I didn't tell her to say anything because I have no idea what she's going to say. But, I'm writing this book, and I've just about finished the first one. And the first one is called In Just One Afternoon, Listening into the Hearts of Men. And it's going to be a series. It'll all be in just one afternoon something. And because in just one afternoon, it doesn't take much. A gesture of some kind, of some sort, towards somebody else that will make the whole difference in the world. Just a little gesture to support somebody, a little gesture to help somebody with their confidence. Just a nod, a smile, a wink, something goes a long way. And when we listen to each other, which I am always on the bandwagon with, when we listen, we will see the way to be kind to each other, the compassion. It's their simple gestures. I mean, we make them sometimes into too big of things, but they're really quite simple. Just helping somebody across the street and being conscious of what's going on around us. I think we got to slow down some and being conscious. So let me tell you, 2 weeks ago, I had 2 weeks today actually. I had cataract surgery, and I was doing great. And I have eye issues, so it was a little risky and scary. Anyway, surgery went fine. Monday, Tuesday, everything was fine till the following week, and my eyes started feeling awful. My right eye, just like inflamed, pins and needles, you name it. It was just horrible. And so I called my doctor's office on Thursday morning of the following week and said, my eye is really bothering me because I have iritis, which is an inflammation, and having surgery could inflame the eye, and it's very painful. So I said to whoever answered the phone, I said, could you ask the doctor what I need to do? She said, he's not in, but let me ask. She gave me the name, Crystal. And I said, okay, well, I have no idea who Crystal is. So she comes back and she says, Crystal says to use the
Dry eye.
no tears,
No tears.
the no tears. Your eye is dry. I said, okay. So I went about my business. That was first thing in the morning. In the afternoon, my mother and I went out for lunch, And I was going to go buy these things, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, something isn't right. This is just getting worse. And I don't think this is dry eye. This is something worse. So I call back again. I come to find out that my doctor is away on vacation, and whoever Crystal is the office manager, not a nurse. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. You're telling me to use this with my condition, and you're not even looking at my file? I'm like really upset. So as it turns out, I do have an inflammation, and I am, had to go on eye drops, a lot of them, and I'm feeling like 100% better. But we have to take our lives in our own hands. A couple of weeks ago, we had a fabulous show on where we had four people: a physician, a, a patient, a parent of a child with type 2 diabetes, and a woman with type 2. And they had all taken their medical care and their life in their own hands. The physician was out here telling other physicians, look, this isn't working this way. We need to do it differently. And we need to get out of that box of it has to look this way and do something, design a new system. And when I went through this period last week, I was like, are you kidding? I had to be the one to speak up and know my own body, know what was going on, which we all should do, and trust myself. Trust myself to know that I'm not imagining this. And it's in everything that we do, regardless of whether it's our medical care, our job, our home, our children, our husbands, our wives, our partners, whoever they are. We need to speak up, but speak up with love. And that's the problem. I think people are not speaking up. They either go one way or the other. They either come out with a gun because they've been pissed off, or they don't speak up kindly and gently, even if to get their point across. And let's say you don't get your point across. You keep trying, but you do it in a way, or your actions speak in a way that at least you're hearing yourself and you're knowing what you're supposed to do with whatever it is you're facing. And I'm really passionate about people speaking up. That's why we do the show called Breaking Free. Hence, we all speak up. I welcome that each and every week, that anybody call in with a gripe, with a comment, with concern, with an acknowledgement, with anything. So that we all, the more we speak up and the more we share who we are and what we do, the more we can go forward and not hold things back and hold each other accountable, but not, that's not your fault that I'm this way, or it's your fault that I'm not this way. I mean, there's no reason we should blame anybody. What were you saying? I'm not looking at my shirt.
Yeah.
Well, I wore this because of my mother today. And my shirt says wild at heart, right?
Well,
Yeah.
something.
Wild heart.
Yeah, wild heart, because it's a heart that feels, a heart that is a living, breathing, exciting organism is going to have a sense of wildness and play. And that's another thing I don't think we do enough of. I don't think we play enough. I don't think a lot of times, not everybody, but we hold back the play, and it's important to play. So once again, 919-518-9773, or Computers 2K Voice, or our chat. Please feel free, call in, ask anything, tell us anything, share anything, what you've been up to, what you like, what's your life like? What's your life like? What's your job like? If it's crappy, tell us so. If it's fabulous, tell us so. I mean, it's all a part of regular, everyday life. Conflict is a part of everyday life. It is not something that does not exist. It does. It's just, how do we handle the conflict? How do we handle the disagreements that go on in our lives? How much energy do we put on it? How do you handle conflict? What do you do?
How do I handle conflict? I talk to myself. I reason with myself.
Like, what do you do?
And sometimes I go for professional help.
Yep.
professional help. I'm a firm believer in getting help if you need it. There's nothing shameful about it. As a matter of fact, in my book, I admire people because there's all kinds of help available. You just have to seek it out, want it, and appreciate it, and go for it. Because you're doing yourself more damage than harm by running away from helping. And helping is by helping yourself get help. And I'm a firm believer in it. And seeking out the person that makes you comfortable, that makes you happy, that you admire, is an accomplishment, but it's an accomplishment. And a lot is to be gained by it. Happiness and love and everything comes from being comfortable about yourself and your conflict. And we all need help. Nobody's beyond it. So we have to realize it and appreciate it and accept it.
You know, I think we get stuck when we're stuck. And sometimes we feel like if we get angry or we have a bad day or we lose something or something ridiculous happens, like that's the end. And it's not. I mean, these things that we talk about, these things are things that we can work on all the time. If you tend to get angry and one day you don't get angry, that's a step in the right direction. And every day you get a little less angry, or every day you wake up a little more this, or every day, you know, you decide you're not going to eat dairy anymore. So my thing is from now on I'm not going to eat much dairy because it's not good for inflammation, and I love cheese. So every day that I don't eat dairy is a good day. Now if I eat dairy tomorrow or the next day, doesn't mean it doesn't mean I'm done with not eating dairy. It just means that I ate dairy one day. I mean, what's the worst that'll happen, right? The next day you don't eat dairy again. That's the problem. If we get angry with each other, okay, there's always an I'm sorry, there's always a talk, there's always a way of amending something. It doesn't mean you give up. We don't need to give up.
It's not a death sentence.
It's not a death sentence.
That's what it means. It's not a death sentence. It's always another way.
Touche. There's always another way. And we can look for the other way, or we can ask for help. But it's not a death sentence. You're absolutely right. It is not the end of the world. It's just a recalibrating. It's a re-looking at something.
What you do with it.
Yeah, it's a message. Like, okay, so what's going on here? Why did this happen? I mean, you ask yourself some questions, and then you just get back on the stick. What do you think?
Oh, good. Sounds fine to me. Sounds great to me.
You know,
I agree.
You do agree?
Yeah.
It's interesting. So, you know, when my mother was talking before about men and women, what were you thinking? That women are doing more today because the men have changed. What do you think about
No, I
that?
didn't say because the men have changed. I'm saying today the women need help.
Right, so the men have changed
So
from
the
the old
men
days.
have to
Rise to the
yeah.
occasion.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
I was just flashing back to when I was, teen or even growing up in Israel. The women always had equal rights. I mean, they serve in the military. They go out there. I mean, it's like, and it's probably because of numbers. I mean, when you don't have so many people, then you have.
Right.
And it must have been good that they did. But I grew up not thinking about women as being anything
But
less, making less. I mean, it never.
It was
Until I
kind
came
of
here, it
comparable.
was. Well, really?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, that's why, I mean, the book came to me the way it did, the first one about men, because I did not grow up liking men too much. I mean, I didn't. There was a lot of male energy in our house and around us. I mean, I thought most everybody in my family was a man, really. And I had lots of girl cousins, my mother, I had aunts, I had, lots of women, and they were strong women, but the men were so strong and was so domineering that I just didn't like them very much. And, as I got older and started listening better, listening more, listening deeper, listening more holistically, I started seeing men in a different way. I started seeing the things that were blocking them, started seeing what was behind their blocks. I started seeing what they were covering up by their, by whatever, or what they didn't know, that they rightfully didn't know because nobody told them. Nobody shared with them the things that they were sharing with me as a young woman or a young child. Really? I mean, it was interesting. I was watching a video the other day on Facebook that a colleague sent me about this martial arts academy. I think it is in Indiana. And I wrote to them. And one of the things, I don't remember what the name of it is, but I wrote to them because I thought, well, this would be cool for them to be on the show. They teach their boys a combination of martial arts and how to cry. Because men are not given permission to cry. Last night on the Olympics, during the gymnastics, there were two Brazilian men. Man, they were one was
on the
totally on the floor.
Yeah.
Crying. And it was a magnificent thing. Not because he was
Right.
crying for joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so happy.
He was so happy.
It was with pleasure.
And I mean, it was beautiful. And and of course, they hug each other, and there's certainly, that connection. But he was crying. How often do you see that?
You don't.
You don't.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. And when I've researched this book, and the men that have shown up that I've been around. I mean, I'm not as a softie. I mean, totally
Yeah.
soft. You are a teddy bear in the making.
And I like it.
And you have always, so I've been, as I've grown, I can see, the
There's
different.
another way.
There's another way men are behaving, and the men that aren't behaving so nicely, I can see some of what's behind. Now there are some men that are just like,
Macho.
god awful horrible and criminals, but even them are what's gone on. And then there are some people who just have their wires, or just there's really bad chemical things going on and all those things. However, women too, but the men that have shown up for my book, and there's 22 of them, have been fabulous. And the last story that I just got was my husband's. And and he gave it to me, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for him to actually share his story. And all the other 21 were edited, and I've been, writing my parts and asked my husband to do his. And, he tried to write it, and I found that men were having a very difficult time writing their stories, writing their experiences in life. They were freer to just speak as opposed to writing. So anyway, I did eventually tape him, and he was crying, through half of. But he's a crier. My
Not
mother's
so
sitting.
crier.
Yeah. But he's a crier anyway.
Yeah.
He cries. I mean, before
At the
I
drop
have
of a hat.
at the drop of a hat. I mean, he'll cry.
Yeah, but it feels good afterwards.
to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, it's
Do you
an
like
emotion.
to cry?
Yeah.
Do you like to cry?
Do I
It's
like?
like-
Well,
Yeah.
do you cry?
I don't stop myself if I have to, and I do. Yeah.
Do you cry just whatever, or do you have to be doing something that prompts the crying?
No, something usually prompts it.
There's always something. That
No, I know, but
prompts,
but there are men in my book.
I don't have a switch, if that's what you're
No,
talking
but there are men in my book that have discovered watching like sad movies,
Yeah.
and that has been very helpful for them in eliciting the emotion and helping them to get into the habit of crying. Do you just cry?
I never had to. I mean, sometimes I'll cry if a sad movie or
Or
something,
some
Right,
story.
and not
that
just
somebody
It
tells
doesn't
you.
have to be sad. if
Well,
it's
and
inspiring.
joyful. Yes. Sorry, yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever needed something to start it because I said I need to learn how to. I don't know. I mean, I just
You
It
just
comes
right.
like that.
naturally.
It's
It comes
yeah, it's
naturally.
natural.
Well, I think men have. I'm fascinated by men because I really think that we've spent a lot of time saying what men aren't and what they can't and haven't done and the abuse and things and all of those things exist. I mean, there are men who have done some awful things, but I think when you listen, past some of those things, and you get into who they really are, their histories, what causes them to some of the history, um, the way they were brought up was horrible. It was horrible.
I don't want people to think that you're
What?
one-sided or whatever.
As far
Don't
as
you
what?
think that you could?
One-sided in what way?
I mean, you keep talking about men did
Well,
this.
I just wrote a book about men.
I know, but I
Right.
mean, you could take the same points and say women are this and this
No
and
question.
domineering
In fact,
and
my
that
net,
and
not, well,
that
not
and
even
that.
domineering.
No, I mean all,
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
things,
all the same
everything
things.
is the same.
Absolutely.
So
It's
just-
a person.
just to-
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
no,
person.
Yeah, it's a
I mean, the
person.
next
Person.
book I'm doing is going to be about twins because I think it's fascinating to listen into the hearts of twins.
Where are you gonna find twins?
My mother,
Let's
my
see,
let's see. I've already done my mother and my aunt, and I'm looking. So if you know any twins or multiple births, even, I'm fine with that too. Triplets, quads, anything, anybody that's
More
that's
than
part
one.
of more than one at a time, because I think it's fascinating to really get into what's beneath the surface of things, into the heart of a human being, into a relationship, to understand it really. And twins, since my mother and my aunt are twins, I'm really passionate about that. But even a population that is having issues, so we understand each other more, that we hear their stories, and hear their journey of the events that led them to discover or not discover, who they are or whatever's gone on in their lives. I think it's amazing, and the stories have been fascinating. And so I'm going to be doing all kinds of these books, and I'm not, and they're not. I didn't control the stories. I just put it out there, except for my husband's, of course, and I didn't control his. I just controlled the way. Just do it already. I didn't control what he shared. But all these men, it's amazing the stories and how when you listen to a man who was beaten up as a child, or you listen to a man who is confused by sexuality. I mean, you know your heart melts because you can hear, wow, that could make perfect sense. I mean, it can make sense how somebody can be mixed up,
Sure.
and how somebody can be mixed up and not want to be mixed up.
This conflict.
And that's what Shema was saying. Help.
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah,
seek.
absolutely. And to the acknowledgement, that's part of why these stories, because these stories acknowledge, it puts a stake in the ground of something, of somebody's feelings, of a situation, and they're not one person's thing. I really feel that a lot of people can see themselves in these stories, and so what it does is it clarifies, it puts into words a picture.
confirms it.
It confirms it. It validates people's feelings. So anyway, I could go off on and on and on and on and on about all these things. Kathy says to you, Mom, on the chat, "Hello everyone, so nice to see Gloria again." Kathy.
Yeah, she can't come in and say it.
Oh,
She's saying it
oh,
from
She's
the
saying
living
it
room.
from the living room.
Oh,
So tell her you'll see her in a minute.
I can't wait, Kathy. I really can't wait. I asked for you when I came in, and I'm going to make up for it when I leave.
So anyway, okay. So Mom, what other comments, thoughts would you like the world to know from you?
Go with your heart. Go with your heart. You have feelings, pursue it. Can't do it alone, ask for help. There's always somebody out there who would do the same thing if they had a buddy. So find yourself a buddy, go for help, and live, laugh, and love.
And what would you tell the men out there in the world?
Same thing.
Well, anything specific?
No. Be a man, be a woman, be anything. But get pleasure in everything that you do.
And what about women that work? Is there anything you would say to women that work or women that want to work?
Keep going.
Keep going where?
As far as you want. And pursue your ambition, because it's one life to live.
And what would you tell young people?
Grow
20-year-olds. 20-year-olds. What would you tell them?
You can't tell them anything, really. It just has to be there. I don't know what to tell them. They've got to find their way, trial and error, but stick with it. Don't give up.
Even the error. Stick with the trials and the errors.
Yeah.
Until
with his life,
what?
there's hope.
With his life, there's hope. Until you find.
Your dream.
It's like a song.
And everybody should have a dream. And when that dream comes true, you've accomplished a great deal. But go for it. There's no end to what you could do. You just have to want to do it.
So, my mother is very wise, as you can all tell.
If you say so yourself.
I do say so myself. And I should know. So, anyway, I'm always happy to have you here. It's always a pleasure. Thank you
It's
for
my
being
pleasure
here.
too, sweetie.
Mwah!
Oh.
And of course, Amnon is a main reason why I come.
Of course. Is Amnon going to be there? Well,
I'm
of course
melting.
Amnon's
I'm
going to be there.
melting.
So anyway,
So am I.
we have a wonderful time here on our show each and every week. We have spontaneously come up with ideas. We have fabulous guests that we book week to week. I mean, a lot of times I'll sit back. This morning I was driving here and I thought, there have been plenty of guests that we've had on our show, and I want to say you saw it here first, or you heard it here, because we've had guests today that I look back on these last 5 years, we've just celebrated our 5th anniversary, who are now like on the networks, who are singers, songwriters, who are doing amazing work out in the world, who have written fabulous books. And thanks to Chris, and thanks to Amnon, we've had some wonderful people here on our show, and we will continue to do this. So if you have an idea, you have a colleague, a friend, a thought, whatever it is that you think would be great for this show, let me know, Marilyn@MarilynShannon.com. If you are a twin, you know of a twin, you're a triplet, you're a quad, you know of a quad, you know of a whoever, multiple births, please let me know, because I would love the opportunity to help the world get to know them as well. And so with that, we're going to call it a day. Thank you all so much for being here and sharing my mother with me, and Amnon and Chris and Kathy on the chat. And I think my daughter was there too, actually. And everybody listening, we love you all. See you next week. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, My Life, My Will with Gisela DiCarlo, The Tanya Love Show, Health Then with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Triangle Be Well with Howard Jacobson, Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Yisrael Cutler, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Current Affairs with Amnon Nissan. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.